Find the z-score, little z, so that the probability that our standard normal variable is greater than z is equal to 0.7157. Okay, so what do we do here? We're trying to find a z-score. So this area here is big, bigger than a half of the whole area. And what sort of relationship do we have here? What areas could we express? Well, we can see that our standard normal, capital Z, is bigger than the z-score. So we're going to shade in things to the right. But the big question here is this little z, is it a positive value? Or is it a negative value? Because that's going to change how we manipulate things. So maybe it's a negative value and it's over here. So we shade to the right. Okay. Which of these looks more like 0.757? So 0.7157. Right? Is it this tiny little area? Is this much bigger area? Remember, halfway is at 0. So half of the whole area. So we can see that this one over here on the right side is more than half. Well, 0.7157 is more than half. So to me, this suggests my z-score is negative. Okay. So if that's the case, if my z-score is negative, what would we do? Okay. What could we work out? Well, if my z-score is negative, how do we change that so it's something that you can look up in the chart? Well, we flip it around. Okay, that's what we learned in the lesson, is the whole thing, the bell curve is symmetric. And when we flip things around, this area that's shaded on the right now becomes an area that's shaded on the left. So 0.7157 is the probability that z is greater than this negative z-score. But that's the same as the probability that z is less than this positive z-score. It's negative of a negative number is positive. And this is something we can look up in the chart. So do we see 7517? It is 7157. 7157 there. Not to be confused with 7517 down there. So 0.57. Okay. So that tells me that negative z is 0.57, and my z-score must be negative 0.57. So there we go. We got our final answer. But it really helps to try and decide, is z a negative thing? Is it positive? And the way to tell is to say, well, either z's on the right side, either z's positive, and we get a tiny area shaded to the right, or z's negative, and we get a bigger area shaded to the right.